You better listen, my brother, 'cause if you do, you can hear there are voices still calling from across the years. And they're crying across the ocean, they're crying across the land, and they will until we all come to understand. None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free, and one of us is chained. None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free, and one of us is chained. None of us are free. There are people in darkness.
Welcome to the Labor Radio Podcast Network Livestream, which happens every Wednesday night. I'm Tanya Hutchins with the Machinist Union's Activate Live webcast, and my co-host today is Jeremy Waugh.
Thanks, Tanya. My name is Jeremy Waugh. I'm the host of the Break Time Breakdown podcast affiliated with Smart Local 110 out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Our first guest is Charlie Flemming, who is the Georgia AFL CIO president, who has been hard at work getting out the vote. And I want to say congratulations, Charlie, for getting out that vote for November 3rd.
Well, thank you very much. It's a very exciting time here in Georgia. We've always worked very hard, but we knew this day was coming, and I wasn't positive that it was going to happen this year, but it's just really exciting, and everybody's working really hard to finish the job. We got a little more work to do here in Georgia.
And Charlie, did you get a break, or did you hit the ground running November 4th?
No, we actually did take a couple of days as soon as the election was over and the general election. And then, of course, we did take a few days at Thanksgiving. So, but we're back up. We've been running hard. We finished the voter registration phase of the campaign for the runoff. And now we're into making sure people apply for their absentee ballots and make sure that they are able to do the vote the easy way. And so far, we've got 1.2 million Georgians have applied for an absentee ballot, which bodes pretty well for us. At least it did in the general. We think it will again in the runoff.
Now, you mentioned the Monday deadline for registration, so now you're moving forward with the absentee ballots. I know a lot of union members are phone banking out of state, including machinist union members that I work with. What is happening on the ground right now with union members that are still helping to get out that vote?
Well, before I start that, I just let you know, I'm also a machinist. I've been a machinist for 40 years, and I happen to be with our international president in Atlanta on Saturday night, Brother Bob Martinez. So it's, that being said, no, we're getting a lot of help from a lot of folks, but we're also, we're doing a labor-to-labor program here at the Georgia AFL, and a lot of our unions and help is coming on the independent expenditure side, which is working with the community, which is great. We have great relationships with the community, but I'll give you an example. We here at the Georgia AFL yesterday made over 15,000 phone calls, and we dropped lit at over 2,000 homes, union members' homes.
Now, Charlie, is there anything that you're doing differently now than, when you were getting ready for November 3rd? Because I know you talked in the past about how, the demographics are changing in Georgia.
Yeah, we're not really doing a lot different. I mean, it's not broke, and we think that's in the right direction. But yeah, the demographics have certainly changed. We're working with our membership. I think there's just been a little more help for us now in the runoff than there was in the general election. And that's where some of the help has come from some of the national affiliates and the national unions that are working on that independent expenditure side.
So we may not be door knocking, but we can still drop literature, correct?
Absolutely. We're doing as much as we can. Now, I will admit that a number of our community partners are knocking on doors, but that's a personal decision or an organizational decision. And we're good with that. But at the Georgia AFL, especially with the pandemic, the numbers going up and up. Even here in Georgia, they've gone up significantly. We just don't feel comfortable, and a lot of our affiliates don't feel comfortable. So we're not going to put them in that situation. We're just going to drop the lid and move on. Now, on the community level, those organizations are using all the PPEs and all the things that they need to do to make it safe for the members. But as an organization, the Georgia AFL just felt like it wasn't the right thing for us.
Charlie, I read a statistic that it had the number of 17-year-olds that are turning 18 before the January 5th runoff, and it was something like more than 20,000. Is there a special outreach to those members? Because I'm seeing it from where I am in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. I think the number is around 23,000. Yes, there's been outreach, not necessarily so much from the Georgia AFL, but from like the Young Democrats, and I'm sure the Republicans are doing the same. Now, the one thing that we have done is, as we have done in the past, is work with our historically black colleges in the state, and places like Georgia State University. We've reached out to those young people and encouraged them to go vote and certainly get registered and then go vote. But no, that's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how many of those 23,000 actually do get registered and actually do go to the polls.
And a good sign for us is that, study after study is showing that more young people are open to unions, and more people in general are open to unions. What kind of feedback are you getting back, talking or hearing from voters, potentially?
Well, we're getting a tremendous feedback. Of course, our union membership, it's been overwhelming here in this state. We're getting over 80% back saying, that they support us and support our candidates. I was talking to some folks on the community side that said that their feedback has been very overwhelming. Of course, there's actually a couple of Georgias here. You've got the metro area of Atlanta and which, quite honestly, over 50% of our members live and work. But then there's also the Chatham County, down in Savannah. There's the Macons in the middle of Georgia. There's the Augusta. And so where you go, the more rural the area is probably where we might struggle a little bit more than the urban area. But we did very well in Savannah. We did very well in middle Georgia, Macon, Columbus, Albany area. And we could probably do a little bit better in the Augusta area, but we did, we more than broke even in the Augusta area. We were just hoping maybe to do about 65, 70%.
Now, I've heard you also say in the past that, even though this is an uphill climb, you remain positive. And I know a lot of remaining positive, is up here, is mental, but, we're still dealing with voter suppression issues. They don't seem to go away. We're hearing more about that now in Georgia. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening?
Well, yeah. Well, just over the weekend, Cobb County, which was a county that actually had flipped blue last cycle 2 years ago in the governor's race, they have just announced that they are going to have, I think it's 7 or 8 less voting locations for early voting than they did in the general. And they've been questioned about it, and they're saying they just don't have the staff, and they're trying to do the responsible. But keep in mind, Cobb County is not run by the Democrats or whatever. I mean, it's been historically been a red county, and it just recently flipped both for Stacey Abrams and for Joe Biden. So those kind of things are going on and will continue to go on. And that's where most people nationally probably have heard now of Stacey Abrams, who's our endorsed candidate for governor a couple of years ago and a good friend of labor. She started an organization called Fair Fight. That's one of the areas where we stay in our lane, and that's their expertise, is voter suppression and stuff. So we work with them, but they sort of drive a number of community groups in the labor movement and keeping us updated on what's going on when it comes to voter suppression and those kind of issues.
Take us through what message you're sending out, whether it's knocking on doors or dropping that lit. You know, talking to Georgia voters right now, what do you want them to know as we get closer to January 5th?
Well, this is actually an opportunity to take back our country for the working man and working woman. You know, there's so much at stake in these two elections. If it's a 50-50 Senate, obviously with the Democrats now in the White House, Vice President Harris will be able to be the deciding vote. That being said, you'll have things like the PRO Act, which is something that the labor movement has made obviously a priority because it does away with so many things that have hurt workers in this country over the years, whether it'll literally do away with right to work. It will also do away with the misclassification of workers. It's going to do so many things to level the playing field for workers in this country, and certainly in the South, where, as you know, and y'all know that, you know, that's how a lot of these bills and a lot of these things that we now have to deal with in this country, they all started pretty much in the South because they could do it in the South. And then they tried to force it on Pennsylvania or force it on Illinois. And so this is a huge, huge deal. And that's why it's so exciting and important for us as folks in the southern region. If we can actually level the playing field for working families in this country by electing these two senators, that people that really do care about workers and working families, I think it'd be terrific.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges is just passing along to people, whether they have voted before or not, just how important this election is and how it can affect their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we're also telling them that, let's be honest, Kelly Loeffler was appointed. She wasn't elected. She's one of probably the richest senator, even though she was appointed. She's probably the richest senator there. I don't know if she's a billionaire, but she's right at it. And David Perdue made his career on outsourcing jobs. You know, he brags about being a job creator at, was it Dollar General? Well, what kind of job has he created? He's basically turned a couple of companies around by outsourcing the work and outsourcing jobs, and that's why neither one of them will speak on the record. If David Perdue wouldn't even debate John Ossoff the other day here last Sunday. And Warnock and Loeffler, the only thing she could say is that, you know, made misleading remarks about Reverend Warnock about how he's going to defund the police and how he doesn't support our military, which is crazy because his dad served in the military. And Reverend Warnock is one of 12 siblings. He was the first one in his family to go to college. Obviously, he became the pastor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s church, one of the most iconic churches in the country, Ebenezer Baptist. And to say some of the things that he said is just really it's crazy. But you know, I'm really proud of both Democrats. They've stayed on the issues. They stayed on talking about what they can bring to the working man and working woman in this state. And you know, other than that, you know, it's up to us now to get folks to the polls and make it happen. And that's what we're trying to encourage our members and the public that we speak to is. This is really, really a big deal. If you want to level the playing field in Washington, now's the time. You know, Trump talked about draining the swamp. Well, by adding folks like Perdue and Loeffler, you just brought two more multimillionaires into the swamp, and all they've done is use that to benefit themselves and their stock portfolios. So it's I think our members are understanding. I think the community is. So we'll see, but we're excited.
Someone sent me a picture of a billboard, and it said that Loeffler and Purdue didn't come through for Trump, so let's get rid of them. And I'm thinking, yeah, let's get rid of them.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things about the Republicans infighting is here you have the president who's bashed mail-in voting, bashed the process. He's bashing the governor and the secretary of state here, saying that they don't know what the hell they're doing and that they stole his election. And then you have, on the other hand, folks trying to get people to use some of the same methods that we did, which was encourage people to do the safe thing and vote by mail. And so who knows? Hopefully that all this infighting will keep a number of Republicans from going to the polls. And I know we're working extremely hard to try to get our members back to the polls. And I think people are energized, and I do think, and I think we're gonna pull this thing out. It's gonna be real close again. So it might be 3, 4, 5 days before they get done counting the votes, but I think we got a shot.
Well, before we go, Charlie, I just want to give Jeremy, my co-host, a chance to ask you a question or two if there's something on his mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing I'm wondering, and you kind of touched on it just a second ago, where you said you feel like there's a lot, people are energized right now, and that was my biggest question coming off of the presidential election, which was, I mean, it seemed like we've been working towards that election for over 4 years. To me, it's how it seemed, and then it all kind of crescendoed into no real answers for a drawn out period, and it's just, I mean, it's really still not finalized. There's still all kind of fighting going on, and you all had to move right into the special runoff election. And are you sensing any kind of like drain from people, or any kind, like, are people just like walking away like done?
Right. I think there was initially some voter fatigue, if you will.
Yeah.
One of the things that we made decisions we made as an organization was that's the reason why we did take that break after the election and a few days around the Thanksgiving holiday, is we did want to give folks a break. But right after the Thanksgiving holiday, we got back and hitting it hard. And the response has really been great. I'll give you an example. Today there was a rally, get out the vote rally, just literally across the expressway from where I'm sitting right now at the IBW building in Atlanta in our offices, where they had 500 people show up to a rally where they had to sit outside. And the weather today was like, I don't know, 3 degrees here in Georgia. It was pretty cold. And they were distanced. They had chairs set up for people. You had to sit in the chair. They had the mask and all that. And again, there was 400 people there. And I know this Friday, which is 2 days from now, we're going to be doing a rally with both of our candidates here at the IBW building. It'll also be out in the parking lot, and we've been getting calls, and we just purchased 10,000 union signs that said this union family supports Warnock and Ossoff and the Georgia AFL, and we got the first 2,000 in today, and I believe over half of them are gone already. I mean, people are just walking in and say, I want to sign. So people are excited. I think they sense the opportunity to really change this country and change the country for working folks. And so therefore they're extremely excited, and that's all we can do is do the best we can. So I'm excited.
Charlie, one last thing before we break here. Where can people go to follow the work you all are doing? Can they follow you on Facebook or a website that we can direct them to?
AFL's Facebook page. They can go to our website is, we've been having some issues with it, but you can go to the Georgia AFL's Facebook page. We're on Twitter. We're on all those things. I'm not the one that will lead you there. But we have a great team here. We have a terrific political coordinator, a lady named Hannah Perkins, and then our Secretary Treasurer, Yvonne Robinson, do great work. And, that's that's what's really been overwhelming to me, is the support and the offers of my brothers and sisters around the country to help us. You know, they they know the work that we put into this election cycle, and they want to help us get to the finish line. And it's not a matter of anything more than supporting brothers and sisters in the labor movement and trying to give the middle class back to working folks.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Charlie. We really appreciate you joining us in this effort and getting that word out there. So you have a good rest of your evening. Stick around if you want and enjoy the rest of the show, and maybe you can join us for the free for all once we're done with the second half.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm probably going to have to leave, but I appreciate Jeremy and Tanya for inviting me, and you guys do a great job on this show. I've been on a couple of times, and I know the labor movement around the country certainly thinks the world of the work that you guys all been doing. And again, I just appreciate the opportunity to be here. And so have a great show, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully we'll talk after we win this thing.
Awesome. Well, you keep up the good work, get some rest, and keep fighting a good fight.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care, brother.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good luck.
Yep.
January 5th. That was Charlie Flemming, the Georgia State AFL CIO president.
You better listen, my brother, 'cause if you do, you can hear there are voices still calling from across the years. And they're crying across the ocean, they're crying across the land, and they will until we all come to understand. None of us are free, none of us are